Hi all, welcome to my channel. I am John McFall and I am an avid DoorDasher and Uber Eats driver and GrubHub driver. I've been doing it now for almost a year now, and I've got almost 1,000 deliveries under my belt. And for my first video, I kind of wanted to introduce you to myself and tell you a little bit about myself, why I'm doing DoorDash and Uber Eats and GrubHub, along with telling you, where I am and what I've accomplished up to this point. I have a full-time job. I work my tail off in my full-time job, and I am the only person in my house that brings income. I am married to a Filipina, and she's been here almost 2 years now, and we're still working on getting her green card. So my income for my wife and my 2 kids, it's okay to pay the bills, and I am keeping up with them, but at the same time, it just seemed to me that I was really struggling to get ahead, and there just wasn't enough money at the end of the payday to do anything beyond pay my basic bills. And there were times that I even had really not enough money to put food on the table. I always have food in my house, and I always make sure I keep a month's worth of food in my house, but there were literally, I'd get paid on Friday, I'd pay all my bills, and I'd literally have enough gas money for the next 2 weeks until next paycheck, and I wasn't able to do anything else other than that. Beyond that, I started using credit cards when I come up short, and I found that over a couple year period that my credit card debt went from a couple of $100s and started creeping up and getting up to $2,000 and $2,500, and I really didn't like that feeling of having that much credit card debt, knowing that I couldn't pay them off because I was using them to just maintain my life the way it was. So what I ended up doing was I decided to go into business for myself. I started a business. It was going to be a social media marketing company, and I learned everything I could about it. I understood it. I knew what I was doing and started making cold calls, and I found that business just wouldn't fit into my lifestyle with my job and with my family, and I just couldn't devote the time to it that I needed to make that business work. And then I decided after that, that lasted probably about 2 months, and then after that I decided to start another business, and I thought to myself, well, I need to be able to do a business that I can devote the time and not have it rely on when I can contact other people. So I started putting together a training course for home business owners, and I got a really good course together. And like many of you, I went online, I got Instagram going, grew it to about 6,000 followers. I started a podcast and did the podcast for about 6 months, grew my listenership, and it was going great. But the thing is that it wasn't bringing me any more income. I listened to what everybody said on YouTube about creating a podcast and building your Instagram network so that you can start selling stuff, and I tried things that they suggested, and I ended up closing that down just kind of out of frustration because I wasn't getting anywhere, and I felt like I was spinning my wheels. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed putting the podcast together. I enjoyed everything about it, but it wasn't generating me any income. So my wife and I, we started having, we weren't arguing, but we were starting to have conversations about the money because there was never enough there. And So I decided at that point that I needed to find a part-time job, and I was thinking of possibly even going full-time with a second job just so I could catch up and make ends meet. And just the thought of working 2 full-time jobs, that just really didn't sit well with me, and so I decided to go with the part-time thing and see what I could get. And came across some ads for pizza delivery and restaurant business and that kind of stuff, and thought to myself, that just isn't going to make me the money that I want for the time that I have to invest into it. And one day I was on ZipRecruiter and I saw an ad for a part-time job for Postmates, and I read through the ad and I thought to myself that this might be something that can work for me. It was basically work your own schedule. It was work when you want. You don't have to have any set time. And basically it said you can make as much money as you want. If you go out there and bust your ass, you can get it. If you don't, then you don't. So I signed up for Postmates, and about the same time I also found DoorDash, and I started signed up with DoorDash, and about 2 weeks after that I was live on both of them. So during that 2-week period while I was waiting to go live on Postmates and DoorDash, I actually jumped on YouTube, as many of you are doing because you're watching me, and I watched as many videos as I could about DoorDash, and I found Uber Eats on there, GrubHub videos, and kind of just watched as much content as I could so I could get a good idea of what I need to do to get out there and be successful and make money at it. I saw a lot of people that were giving great advice, and I took all that advice in, and when I finally went live, I decided not to use Postmates. And the reason I decided not to use Postmates is because from what I saw on YouTube, they don't show you how many miles that you're driving, and they don't show you how much that you're making per delivery. You don't find that out until after you make the delivery, and that just really didn't sit well with me. I didn't want to just pick random orders to take and not know where I was going and not know how much I was making on them. So I started literally with DoorDash. By this time I also joined up with Uber Eats, and I was waiting to go live with Uber Eats, and I also signed up for GrubHub because I thought, well, I can take all these different apps and see which one is the best for me and go from there. So I got signed up with Uber Eats, and that was about a 2-week process to get on with them. GrubHub, it actually took me about 4 months to get on there because there was a waiting list for drivers. But I went out on my first day not really knowing what to expect and what I should, really do, because I was brand new at it. And I went out one morning, turned on DoorDash, and made my first few deliveries. My first few deliveries, I got about, I think it was $16 and change, and I thought to myself, this is literally the easiest money I ever made. I click a button on an app, and then I go pick up some food, I go drop it off, I take a picture of it, tell the app that I've dropped it off, and they give me money. So I literally was hooked from day one. It was just the easiest money that I had ever come by. So anyway, went live on Uber Eats, and was working DoorDash for the first couple of weeks exclusively, and then when Uber Eats came online, I started working both DoorDash and Uber Eats. And over the next 4 or 5 months, I really learned what I was doing, and I really learned how to make good money at it. My first week of doing it, like I said, my first day I made 16 and change. By the end of the first week I had made about $377, and I just really felt on top of the world because I had extra money to pay off some things that I needed to pay off, and I wasn't reliant on just my paycheck anymore. Over the course of the next few months, I just really continued to watch YouTube videos. I continued to get out there every day and bust my ass and learn what I needed to do so that I could make more money with the time that I was out there. And I ended up going from that 377 my first week, and I really pushed myself. It was probably about a month and a half, 2 months later, but I really pushed myself. Ended up making $990 in 1 week, and that was doing it part-time. I say part-time, but really I ended up putting in about 36 hours into the gigs, into doing the food delivery that week. So it was a really tough week for me because I was still obviously working my full-time job. But hitting that goal, I was just ecstatic, and I felt on top of the world that in 1 week in my part-time job I made almost $1,000. So if you get out there and bust your ass, you can get the money that you need to get yourself back on track. You can get the money that you need to catch yourself up, and you can really change your life by not having to live paycheck to paycheck. So why should you listen to me, and why should you watch my videos? Well, after doing these food delivery apps for about 6 months, I got up to about 1,000 deliveries. I was really working hard, so I've got a lot of experience under my belt, and I've also averaged about $12 a delivery. This is between DoorDash, Uber Eats, and GrubHub combined. On Uber Eats, I make about just over $16 a delivery average. On GrubHub, my average is about $12 a delivery, and on DoorDash, my average is just over $9 a delivery. So overall, it's about $12 a delivery. On top of that, I average between $25 and $30 an hour consistently. I will tell you that when I first started, I was somewhere probably around $15 an hour. So I've honed my skills, and I've learned how to do my thing out there. I got myself up to $25 or $30 an hour. And on top of that, ratings on these apps, GrubHub is kind of difficult to know what your actual rating is, but on Uber Eats they do it on a 1 to 100 scale, so you're at either 20%, 30%, 50, 70, 90, up to 100, and I'm currently at a 99% on my ratings on Uber Eats. I'm also on DoorDash. They have a 5-point scale, and after all these deliveries, I'm at a 4.99 out of 5, and so that means that my customers like me and they like what I do. So my goal in this channel is to teach you the things that you need to know to be able to make $25 to $30 an hour on here. Most drivers on these gig apps, they go out and they make food delivery, and they don't know what they're doing to make that good money, and they'll average $10 to $14 an hour, and they'll leave the food gig delivery apps because they just are not making very good money. And $10 to $14 an hour might sound good, but you are in business for yourself because you're an independent contractor. So that means that you have to pay taxes out of that money. It also means that you have to pay for your fuel out of that money. It also means that you have to pay for your vehicle maintenance expenses out of that money. And then, anything that you buy while you're out there, like food and drinks, you have to take it out of that money. And then finally, any gear that you need to do this stuff, you have to also take it out of that money. So there's a lot of expenses that go along with doing this, and if you're making only $10 to $14 an hour, you are not making a whole lot of money. So if you can make $25 to $30 an hour, you are doing really well. This is one type of income where you're actually trading your time for dollars. In other words, you have to put in the time to make the money. So while you're out there doing this, you want to maximize how much money you can make during that time that you're out there. Because if I can work an hour and make the same that it takes somebody else to do in 2 hours, I think that I'm doing much better than that person that's making $10 to $15 an hour. So anyway, my channel is going to be about teaching you to earn that money that you want to make out there and maximizing the amount of dollars that you can make. It's also maximizing the least number of miles that you have to drive to make that money, because another huge factor in this food delivery thing is how many miles do you have to drive to get the dollars that you're making. Finally, the last thing that is really important is when you're out there doing these food delivery apps, you want to make sure that the actual time you're working is going to be as close to the time that you're totally out there, because if you're sitting for 20 minutes out of every hour doing nothing, and that will happen, then the amount of money that you're making per hour will go down. So the third thing is how much downtime do you have? I want to teach you to maximize the amount of time that you're working. And when I started, again, I was probably at about 60% uptime. In other words, I was actually only working 60% of the time. And there have been times, only a few since I started, but there have been days that I have been out there and my actual work time is higher than the amount of hours that I was actually out there. In other words, I was working more hours than I was physically out there. I've done 107%, I've done 110%. It can be done, and I want to teach you the tricks and show you how you can. Most of the YouTubers that you watch out here, if you've been watching any of the videos, they're basically going to tell you some one-on-one stuff. What do I mean by that? They're going to tell you, okay, you have to pick the right dollar amount for the right amount of miles so that you can maximize your income out there. And while that's very, very important, and I will talk to you about that also, I want to go a little bit deeper, and I want to tell you some of the tricks and some of the hacks and some of the things I do to actually maximize the amount of dollars that you get. For instance, there's one thing that I want to tell you about that I do on Uber Eats. I also do it on DoorDash, but it is more prevalent on Uber Eats that I can increase my tips on Uber Eats anywhere from, I would say, 30 to 50% of the time. I get higher tips on Uber Eats than I was initially quoted. I want to teach you how to do that. I want to show you what to do so that you can do that. And I also want to show you how you can use these apps together to make the most money. Again, a lot of these YouTubers out here say only do DoorDash or only do Uber Eats or only do GrubHub, and I completely disagree with that, because you can maximize the amount of money that you make if you're running more than one app at a time. There's some times where I'll actually be running all three, DoorDash, Uber Eats, and GrubHub, to maximize the amount of dollars that I am out there. And I want to show you guys all that. I want to teach you all that. I want to show you what I know so that you can be successful out there. So there are a lot of other great YouTube guys out there. Mike and Matt, your driver Mike, he's a great guy, and he has taught me so much. DoorDash Dad up out of Michigan, Derek, he's a great guy too, and he puts a lot of great content out there. I love him. Another one that I suggest that you listen to is a guy out of Florida. He goes by UDM, and he has a lot of great videos, a lot of great advice, and he is another one that's just a really good one that I've used as my mentor. So make sure that you check out on YouTube Your Driver Mike, DoorDash Dad, and UDM, because they are three guys that will really help you improve what you're doing out there and maximize the amount of money that you can make. So I want to say thank you to my mentors, and I hope you get a lot out of my channel, and I hope that you can get out there and maximize the amount of money that you're making out there in these gigs, because there is ways to make very good money out there doing food delivery. Eventually I might get into some other things other than DoorDash, Uber Eats, and GrubHub about making side money, but I really want to launch the foundation of my channel with these three, because these are the ones I started with, and these are the ones that I'm really good at, really passionate about, and I think it's a good starting point for my listeners, and I think I can teach you what you need to know to maximize the money that you are making while you're out there. So welcome aboard, and I'm glad that you're here, and I hope that you subscribe to my channel and like my videos so that more people can see my content and more people can be successful out there doing these and make the most money that they can. So share my videos, subscribe to my channel, like my videos, and I hope you enjoy the ride, because it's going to be a great one.